guys! So, as you know, I have been riding the Kawasaki ZX14R, the most powerful production motorcycle which is naturally aspirated, because the Kawasaki H2 is a supercharged motorcycle, so keep that away. Now, it has been a great opportunity that has been provided to me by Driven, that is driven.in. Do check them out. That's a motorcycle rental company. And now I'm going to be talking about this motorcycle and why you should consider buying this motorcycle. That is the title of my video, that is, should you buy a Kawasaki ZX14R in India? Now, as you know, that I have been riding a considerable number of motorcycles for the past 3 to 4 years. That include track superbikes and cruisers, sport tourers and blah blah. Now this is the first time I have been riding a hyper motorcycle. Now these motorcycles come under the category known as hyper bikes. They are not super bikes, and they are also known as sport tourers. Now you would think sport tourer? I mean, why does a tourer need to have so much horsepower? Because the specifications of this motorcycle are, now brace yourself, 1400 and some 40 odd cc, 200 plus horsepower and 160 plus Nm torque. This is absolutely mammoth, truly crazy. I have ridden this motorcycle for almost 300 kilometers today, and I have understood the reason why they make these kind of motorcycles. Now, a track-oriented superbike is something like a Yamaha R1, a ZX10R, or Suzuki Gixxer 1000, etc. But those motorcycles need a lot of fitness level to ride, in case you have put on some weight drinking beer or eating a lot of Hyderabadi biryani, then you might have a difficult time riding one of those track oriented motorcycles. And also, if you want to go on a long ride, a 700 kilometer ride or a 1000 kilometer ride, a track oriented motorcycle is probably not the best, because it is meant for the track and the ergonomics tuck you in, and it is very demanding. They are very challenging, and we all know that. So in that situation, if you are someone who likes the power, who loves the power of a superbike, and also kind of likes a sporty position, but doesn't want a motorcycle which is narrow, which would be very challenging for you to sit on the motorcycle, then in that case, these kind of motorcycles, the Kawasaki ZX14R or the Suzuki Hayabusa, they give you best of both the worlds. That is, they have absolutely mammoth power. I mean, way more torque than any superbike. Superbikes have about 100 or 110 Nm torque, and these have like well over 150 Nm torque. So there is so much torque that you can sit in the 6th gear with a pillion, with saddlebags, and keep cruising at close to 200 kilometers an hour all the time if the road permits. So these motorbikes are comfortable not only for you, even for the pillion. So Abhishek, I'm on flat ground. You got your foot pegs. Get onto it. Okay. So Abhishek, this bike is way more comfortable than a super bike.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a sport tourer hyper bike. So
okay.
You're not very up.
Yes.
You're like almost my level when
yeah,
you're
I can
sitting on the
notice
bike.
it. Yeah.
And one more very important point, friends. You know that I have a Suzuki Gixxer 1000, correct? That is about 180 odd horsepower. Now this is a 200 horsepower motorbike and so much more torque than my Gixxer 1000. But these motorcycles, the kind of power delivery that they have is gradual. It's smooth. Despite those monster kind of numbers that we see on papers, these motorcycles don't, they would intimidate you if you are coming from, say, a KTM Duke 390 or a 200cc or something like that. But if you have been riding a 600cc and if you move on to a motorcycle like this, it would not intimidate you. As a matter of fact, you would feel very comfortable. But if you go on to an extremely track-focused motorbike, the power delivery is absolutely crazy, and those motorcycles kind of make you very nervous. So, and if you are someone, who doesn't want to spend too much time understanding the power delivery of a motorbike, but wants to enjoy the power of a motorbike, then these kind of motorcycles are really good, and they have very good traction control system, 3-level traction control, and the ABS works really, really well. And also the price point. A hyperbike, a sport tourer like this, and a track-oriented superbike cost almost the same. So you don't really have to worry about, the price point. If you are someone who is not very focused on doing track days, but interested in going on long rides, and who's probably thinking about, taking a pillion also along and putting saddlebags and all that, then I would say forget buying a track-oriented superbike and focus on something like this. However, the good news is that you can still do occasional track days. Now, despite the size and the weight, this thing weighs close to 250 kilograms. That's a lot of weight, you would think so, correct? But this motorcycle, can you believe this, was handling really, really well in the traffic. Yes, she does heat up a lot, but you can maneuver her around in traffic. And the best part is that if you like doing track days, occasional track days, this motorcycle can corner. Now, I did not think she could corner as well as she did. I was able to take slow corners. I mean, fast corners you can generally do because the centrifugal force is there, but I was able to take slow corners even at about like 60 kilometers an hour despite the weight. That is how well balanced this motorcycle is. If there is one thing, and only one thing, if I can point out in this motorbike and say, probably I'm not a great fan of, but again, that is subjective, because I find the looks not to be pretty. This motorcycle looks like a monster, like a beast, but not very attractive as such. Yes, people will turn around and look at you. If you park the motorcycle, they will say, oh wow, what is this? But it is not as pretty as probably, the ZX-10R or the Yamaha R1 or any of those, or even the Hayabusa. As a matter of fact, Busa looks much better according to me. But again, looks are very subjective. Beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder, correct? And I've had this motorcycle only for half a day now, and I'm growing into the looks. So probably if you ask me about this motorcycle after owning this motorcycle for a week, I'll say I love the looks. So this is something which just got onto my mind, so I'm speaking about it. So there is another really good point about this motorcycle, that is the headlights. Now when we are touring, we could be ending up riding in the nights also, correct? And what do we need when we ride in the nights? We need really good bright headlights, and this one has got 4 of them, and these headlights are amazing even in the day. So just imagine how good they could be in the night. So that's a very important and good point that this motorcycle scores when it comes to riding in the nights and touring in the nights. And another very good and important point about this motorcycle, either this or even the Hayabusa, is that the turning radius, the way the steering handle, this moves left and right, is much better than a track bike, a track super bike, because a track super bike would probably only move this much, not more than that. But this one moves quite a bit to the left and quite a bit to the right. So that way your turning radius becomes shorter and you can take U-turns better. So this would help in the maneuverability in urban conditions. So this is something I rate this motorcycle up on, and it's a very good thing. So buddies, I'm done. you know what, this was not really a review, because what will I really speak about a motorcycle like this, correct? Can I really go ahead and tell you and find some negative points about this? These are engineering marvels. There are masterpieces. So can I really tell you the refinement was not so good, you know, the brakes were not so fine? Well, everything is spot on. But the only thing that I thought of focusing on is why you should consider buying a motorcycle like this over a superbike, a track-oriented superbike. So I'm done, and I'll be going back home now and enjoying my ride. And if you have any questions about the Kawasaki ZX14R, do let me know and I'll try to answer them. Thank you, friends. Bye-bye.